You mentioned about, when you wake up, you see what is happening. You don't have that veil. I think sometimes it happens when you are traumatized. That's just my experience, that you're traumatized and suddenly you're shaken up. The trauma could be, death of a loved one. And for me, on a personal level, that's how I came across your book. When I was in India and my mom passed away, you reached out to me and we talked about it. In that time, your book was in draft. And that's when I read the book. And because, like so many times when something like this happens, we get carried away, like, something so precious has been taken away. And I remember for me, I read it slowly, the way, it was written. You told me how to read it, and not like as in getting something from it, like an intellectual,
Right.
It was very interesting experience for me at first, because suddenly, it's like, why we are even doing it, what's the point, and then coming back to like, oh really, it was just such an empowering feeling. So how this book is different than all these books that is being out there, for philosophy or gaining, are we going to gain any knowledge while reading it, or because your title is experiential,
That's
so
correct. So historically, religion has existed, theology has existed, philosophy has existed. These were all like ways in which we deal with what we cannot clearly see. There's something bigger, there's something more to life than that meets the eye. So they came up with these frameworks and ideas and belief systems and so forth that could be studied through the mind. So, unfortunately, reality is not something that can be neatly packaged into concepts and understood in this way, as we have seen it through philosophy or theology. Reality is also not something that you try to achieve.
Right.
Because the idea of reality is it is already here as it is. So if it is already here, how can you actually achieve it? Like if you already have, like a smartphone, it's already here. What can you do to achieve it? It's just here.
Yeah.
Maybe it just got hidden away in the back. The most you can do is you can rediscover the fact that the phone was elsewhere, but it's with you. It's never actually gone. Reality, therefore, cannot also be incrementally achieved like with things through self-improvement or self-empowerment. Reality is already here as it is. So then what is left? Only the realization of that reality. Reality is already here. The only thing that can be done is to realize it if it is not already realized. So then, how can you realize reality when it actually occurs before the mind? Before mind arises, exists this reality.
Yeah.
So how can we use mind as an instrument to go understand it? And this has been the most frustrating thing for seekers. All spiritual seekers feel this frustration. They go to get books, they attend seminars, they attend retreats, they withdraw into monasteries and ashrams and so forth. And the best case scenario is that these people have an authentic teacher, a guru, someone who dispels darkness with the light of their own existence. If such a real guru is found, a spiritual seeker can find the same fulfillment by realizing its existence. But short of that, what happens is we're trying to use our mind and intellect to grasp something that does not exist in the realm of the mind, but exists before the realm of the mind.
Yeah.
So, how do you resolve this paradox, this conundrum? And the masters were very clear about it. The only way reality can be realized is through direct experience. So, the way the book itself is written is to engender that direct experience to the reader. It's constructed in the form of a dialogue between an awakened master and a sincere spiritual seeking student. So the dialogue is constructed in the way that the master nudges that student directly into that direct experience of reality. So if as a reader of this book, Awaken, you approach it in the way that it is actually intended, that you stay in that dialogue between the master and the student, put yourself in the shoes of that student, experience their question as your own,
Right.
experience the pointers given back by the master as something that you follow in your experience, and in that way deliberately slow down and experience that discussion between master and student that engenders that direct experience that seekers look for, but have been trying to get it through their mind, which they cannot.
Right. Yeah. And, like you mentioned that you have to slow down and experience. So, I mean, I would like to tell the viewers that, you want to take maybe 1 or 2 pages, read and really close your eyes and just assume that you are asking that question and there is a teacher. If you are even connected to somebody, feel free to even visualize them, just to make it easier that the teacher is telling you those questions, those pointers, and then experience what happens within your mind, when that pointer comes to you. So it really needs to be sitting down and meditated on, not just quickly reading it as a story.
That's right. Yes, and if we rush through this sort of glimpse into reality by reading it quickly, what we will have is your own mind's version of it.
Yes.
And your own mind's version of what is being suggested is not reality. It's just one more element of your own personal story.
Yeah.
And that's not very useful. If your personal story is very useful, then everybody can construct a personal story of peace and live from it. But it doesn't work that way.
It does not.
It does not work that way. What we have to do is we have to recognize that there is a limitation in the paradigm of looking everything through the lens of the mind and the needs of the body and so forth. Bottom line, what it comes down to is, see, look, we are always doing everything in our life on behalf of who we think we are. Right? Like every declaration we make about an experience is like, I'm feeling the pain or I'm struggling. I wish that this situation, this loss didn't happen, or I wish that success was there. It's always like an I, and me, and my. All of this experience of the world that we have is really founded on that central identity of I. The mind works on that behalf of that I. And in the bubble of our personal story, we experience the world on behalf of this I. Reality is before this, prior to it, which is why the only way that we can touch that reality is through that direct surrender. Surrender of what? Surrender of that sense of I. But that radical surrender, hardly anybody actually comes upon it. Very few stories exist of people who have radically surrendered their sense of self and could experience this infinite eternal nature that exists already. But for the rest, there is a direct path, and that direct path is what is really written in a little bit modern format, and but still using that ancient idea of the student sitting with the guru, a really enlightened, awakened master.
Right.
And this idea is basically around self-inquiry. Who is this I that you think you are? And when you walk through that exploration between that master and the student, the nature of this I is actually revealed in that direct experience. And that surrender naturally occurs in that process. So the value of the manner in which this quest for enlightenment is presented in this Awakened book is to give you that direct glimpse. Because you will recognize this yourself, Seema. After having had that glimpse, life experiences still will have its ups and downs. That doesn't miraculously change overnight, but they don't have the same grip on you anymore, do they?